all Canadian families, we are on the Titanic. The iceberg hasn't hit yet, so we're not sinking. If we don't shift course, that iceberg is coming for us.
I'm not planning on leaving. I'm fighting. We want to make this country incredibly great.
We begin to see that it really isn't about diversity. It is about punishing the people who perform beyond the mean.
For people who don't care, where do you see Canada going?
Oh, it's catastrophic. It is that bad.
What is the carbon tax doing to lower carbon emissions?
Exactly.
I love this country. I was born in this country. I believe in what this country stands for. I believe in its people. I believe as a place opportunity for all to come and live, but the path that we're on is not working, and we are not going to be what we're supposed to be if we continue along this path.
Yeah.
Hello, citizens. Happy 2025 to you all, wherever you guys are watching. We have a lot to talk about today. History has been made this week in Canada, not just in the political realm, but this is historic, what we are witnessing and watching right now within our government.
Yep.
Jeremy, how are you, man?
I'm doing good. 2025 has been interesting so far. It's interesting is a good way to describe 2025. A lot's happened in a week.
Yep.
It's insane, actually.
It is insane. Well, if you've been sleeping under a rock, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced his resignation.
His intention
To resign. We'll talk about that as there's different areas to explore. There is a lot to explore if you're not fully up to speed on what is going on. But as you know, there has been mounting pressure on the Liberals for years, I would say, particularly Justin Trudeau with all-time low ratings, obviously with the country not being in a good spot financially, security-wise. You look at pressures coming from the U.S., incoming President Donald Trump putting pressure on. We have inflation, we've got skyrocketing housing prices, we've got grocery bills that are going up. Lots of stuff just is not going great in our country. Yep. So let's put pressure on Prime Minister and his Liberal government, who has been supported by Jagmeet Singh and the NDP for the last number of years, to stay in power as a minority. And it sounds like he has succumbed to the pressure in the last little bit. But I want to explore the wording that he used and what the process actually is over the next 3 months, because at the same time that Justin Trudeau announced his intention to resign as Liberal leader of the Liberal Party, they also prorogued government, which, if you're not sure what that means
pause.
It is a pause. There is no parliament, no debate, no opposition, no challenges, no
very
laws.
Concerning in the wake of Trump's election.
Yes.
That's probably my greatest single concern is that, which means the tariffs will come down. We will pay the penalty of tariffs with no solution. In I know I'm jumping real in quick, but let me just lay it out for some people. It just means that we're going to pay a big financial price for this. The longer we wait, we need movement. We need movement to get our economy up, to figure out how to maybe not pay those tariffs and negotiate a deal. But if we have no government and we have nothing happening, we're in a very serious problem.
Well, I think, what you said is so vital, because we are facing heaviness, to say the least, over the next bit. It's a critical time, and we're not using the term historic lightly. Like, this is a historical time. We're going to look back. History is going to teach about this in future classrooms and in universities about this process and what's going on, because depending on how we respond as a country, this could set us up to move forward, or it could cripple us further and take us longer to rebuild. And really, it's such a critical time with Trump coming in, as you said, and really we are left without a functioning parliament in the wake of Donald Trump in 2 weeks taking office as president of the United States with 25% tax tariffs, which is that will cripple. That would cripple us economically.
It absolutely would. I just decided to throw that question into ChatGPT to just see what it would say.
Yep.
And I said, if US ends up putting a 25% tariff on Canada, what would that do to Canada? And essentially it says it would reduce exports to the US dramatically. Economic slowdown would happen, which is hard to think about if we're already there.
Yep.
I've also been told, I don't know if this is true or not, that that BC and Ontario are either officially in a recession or almost statistically in a recession.
So 2 consecutive quarters. If it's the definition, quarters. 2 consecutive quarters of negative GDP growth, which is
we'd see a significant increase in cost of living and inflation, which is also hard to imagine considering where we're at.
Yeah.
Trade tensions would climb. We would have to diversify, but also that would be very difficult considering we're landlocked. And then our currency would continue to depreciate. All of those things happening at once would be so bad. We're at, what are we at, an all-time low for a Canadian dollar? We're extremely low.
You know what, though? It did get a pop. I'm not sure if you saw this. The Canadian dollar got a pop moments after Justin Trudeau announced him resigning. The Canadian dollar did get a pop. I'm not sure how big. I want to see that. I'm going to connect you to the TV because I want to show this video of all the people to poke fun at Justin Trudeau. This is coming from the CBC. So it's like, I feel like they're desperately trying to show we don't want to be defunded. So this is,
they're trying to.
This is the show. Face. This hour has 22 minutes doing a spin on Justin Trudeau's speech. It's quite funny, the opening here.
Oh, shoot, my papers. Oh, my papiers. It's okay. I'll deliver this speech off the dome. Hello, my friends. Bonjour, mes amis. As you all know, I am a fighter, which is why I'm quitting. I will be stepping down. Just in is now just out. I didn't come to this decision lightly, or even willingly. I thought I was doing a great job, but by the 6th internal resignation, I got an idea all on my own. Leave them wanting more.
So good.
We had a good run, didn't we? From sunny ways to me.
Sunny ways. That was part of his initial speech that he did when he took office or when he won the election. That's I want to say a Diefenbaker quote, but anyways, it's referring to Canada's going to be in sunny ways now. Anyways, that made me laugh when I came across that. And that one line, I want to bring you to this next one. That one line made me think of, I follow this one account called Justin Trudeau's Ego.
Yeah.
Just got to find it here. Justin Trudeau's Ego, and the tweet goes,
that's funny.
Okay, so Paul, you can grab it now. This tweet is titled, "We've had some good times, Canada." If you're watching on the
anthem,
watching on the podcast, it is footage of the police swarming in and beating people.
Someone is getting kneed.
And someone's getting kneed over and over again in Ottawa during the trucker convoy, when the Emergencies Act was invoked. The horse, we were there, right? That exact moment. That woman being run over.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Man, I can't believe that. That's Canada.
I know. Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
No, you're right.
Anyways.
We can't forget these types of things, though.
No, a little bit of humor to start, and I would say irony to start as well.
Justin Trudeau's Ego, that's what it's called?
Yeah, it's a great account. Because anytime Justin Trudeau tweets, they do
a parody of it.
The parody version of it.
Funny.
But let's talk about his speech a little bit.
Yeah.
What were some takeaways that you thought or you saw from it? Anything you noticed?
It was I wasn't surprised, I'll say. Because everyone was saying on Sunday night, they were saying resignation coming, and my first instinct on Sunday was no, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not coming. There's no way.
Me too.
He always finds a way to kind of weasel around it slightly, and sure enough, after watching the speech, you realize he didn't actually resign. And you did a video yesterday, and I thought it was actually really, really well done. And you titled it.
Did JT resign or something?
Or he didn't resign. I think it was titled.
Okay.
Justin Trudeau
Paul might have might have overrode me on that one.
But essentially he said he didn't resign, and so I clicked on it, and then I went back to look at his wordings, and he's right. And what we mean by that, for those who maybe didn't catch it, is he resigned as the Liberal Party leader, which will now push it into a leadership race.
Yeah.
But if they don't find a leader, he's still the Prime Minister. And he did not resign as Prime Minister. He's Prime Minister. He prorogued government, which means he paused it, and they're going to do this selection. And if he's got any influence on the government, which he does, I'm sure I don't know. I have a feeling it's going to get dragged out really long.
Yeah. You know what? if you guys watch a show, maybe you're aware of a guy named Viva Frey. He put up, this is a little bit of a counterpoint to the point I made, because it is debatable, because he hasn't stepped down as prime minister. He talked about his intention to step down as leader of the Liberal Party. And just a reminder, Evan, the way our system works in Canada, we do not vote for a prime minister to go in office. Like in the US, they vote for a president to be their president. No, we vote for a party. And whoever happens to be the leader of that party becomes the prime minister. And yes, the face of the party is very important. Yes, that sways who we vote for. I bet you more Canadians know who the prime minister is, or the leader of the party they're voting for, more so than the actual member of parliament they're voting for in their local area, right?
But to push back slightly, doesn't the US still vote for the party once the leader's selected? You know what I mean? So like they do the DNC.
Three branches they have.
Yes.
So there is a vote for the actual president. And then that's why they have their every 2-year votes for the House, for the Senate. So they'll vote for senators, and then they'll also vote for Congress. So that's how they do it. So there is still parties,
but once the representative is chosen for the Democratic or the Republican Party, there's no other choice for that party.
Exactly. And you could have a president that, let's say he is a Republican in office, and you could still have a Democratic, the Democrats holding power in the Senate and in Congress.
Yes, exactly.
You can have a mix and mash of it, right? That's why when they say they run the table, you get all three, like Donald Trump and the Republicans did. But in Canada, it's different. The reason why I'm saying that is because Justin Trudeau is the leader of the Liberal Party. So his intention to step down as leader of the Liberal is showing that there's going to be a void there, and they need to choose a new leader internally. So it's not going to be voted across from Canada. It's going to be internally, because really, the minority government was not even close to the majority of the Canadians. A minority of the Canadians voted for them, and they got in power. NDP have kept them in power. And so they're going to choose a new leader, but that could take a while. But the other side of if you haven't watched my video, go check it. But Viva Frey saying, for everyone saying Trudeau didn't resign, he just announced his intention. This is what Viva Frey is saying. And by the way, let's keep getting Viva Frey in the show. There is a kind of order to follow. You don't just resign and leave Canadian government on the spot. Yes, he announced his resignation to be replaced after Liberal leadership elections, but he prorogued government until that happens. And he says, I guess to make his resignation more definitive, he could have called an immediate election. That was kind of the main point of my video too. That would have actually been the responsible thing of Trudeau. Like the words that he said speaking in front of his Rideau College or cottage, is saying, I love Canada and I want to do the best for Canada and all that. The best thing for Canada right now would have been to call an election.
Had he done that, would he immediately lose his power as prime minister?
No, he'd still be prime minister
until until actual new prime minister selected.
Viva explains this a little bit too, but if he would have called an election, that would have most likely he would have had the intention to keep running. But he's obviously
not.
It's Pierre versus Trudeau. There's some strategy, I think, behind it, whether they've thought this through or not. He's removing himself from the equation, and now the question has become, are you voting for Pierre or are you not voting for Pierre? As opposed to, are you voting for Pierre or are you voting for Justin? So him moving himself out, if he would have called an election, he would have given the next Liberal leader zero time to like prep or whatever, and even if he was a step down. So there's that issue as well. And so Viva says he could have called an immediate election, but then he would not have resigned either, because he would have been the leader of the Liberals entering the federal election. Unless people are suggesting he should have resigned and called an election without his replacement to run for the Liberals, or have a Kamala-esque coup, hand-selected, undemocratic replacement, in which, in case the same criticism would apply. So she goes on to say, Trudeau is the scum of the earth and a snake, but there could not really have been anything more definitive and immediate of a resignation than what he did, shortening the delays for the leadership challenge, in which case Liberals would have cried that he cut those delays too short for lesser-known candidates, etc. And he goes, my opinion, the resignation, this is all irrelevant because the damage is already done in Canada. But anyways, interesting that's the other side of the video that I put, because trying to put the Liberal shoes on, Justin Trudeau's shoes on. But the thing that I don't like is the time. And there's still maneuverability.
A lot.
I was reading in a little bit of the liberal, because each party has a constitution. What's the process, right? Who can be eligible to actually run to become the leader of the Liberals? There's certain criteria, and I think some of the main guys don't qualify for that. There was this interesting one that, again,
none of that's legal, right? It's just kind of within internal party agreement.
But I think that's what binds them. It's the liberal. No, I think there is legality to it, because you have to be an official party in Canada, you have to register all of how your constitution. It'd be like a charity. And the constitution of a charity, and there's a body that will hold you accountable to it. So maybe there's room and leeway. And I heard a good quote the other day. Someone asked the question, is in a movie, was that policy written by man? And they go, oh yeah. So surely it can be unwritten by man. Like they're all abiding by this policy.
For sure.
But Marty up north, again, I think we're having him on in a couple of weeks, right?
Yeah.
Stay tuned for that. He did a really, I love his Twitter, because he always does big deep dives. But he did a little bit of a deep dive looking through the eligibility of people who can run. One of them is there's this 90-day stipulation that people have to, if they want to run for the leader of a Liberal party, they have to have 90-day notice of their thing. So right now, Parliament will be back in session in less than 90 days. So unless
they already notified,
which they most likely haven't, because Trudeau only announced his resignation yesterday. And there's a couple other stipulations about the amount of signatures they have to have within the Liberal caucus, within Liberal civilians across the country, and all these things. So some of those constitutions could exclude people like Mark Carney, whose name has been touted a lot as trying to get in, unless they're going to change it.
And I heard yesterday they were saying this is the absolute last day that he could prorogue to. It is? It's the absolute longest he can extend it to the very day.
Interesting.
Because they actually have apparently, sorry for the lack of wisdom in the terms here, I don't remember, but they actually have a certain amount of money that is allowed to prorogue, which expires after a certain amount of time. So the Governor General can only prorogue for so long, depending on that. And so I think it's March 24th, I think is what they decided. And that's the last day. You can't go to the 25th. It's actually the last day.
Interesting.
And which is very interesting. I'm like, oh my gosh, not even like actually pushed as far as it possibly can.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that's strategic too. Like it just makes you wonder. I'm going, what is going on here? What's happening behind the
that's the thing,
behind the curtain here? And
now there's no opposition to ask or push every committee and investigation, all those things. It's essentially
there's a lot of things
suspended.
There's a lot. Like, do you remember why government was House of Commons was paused? Why the Conservatives paused it? No one got an answer for that. It got buried.
We talked about that.
Yeah, I know. We touched on it vaguely, but this is the type of stuff that just falls in the background on this kind of stuff. There was a bunch of illegal activity that the Conservatives were saying, show us the documents. We're not going to the House of Commons until we see the documents. The documents came up. Then they redacted all the stuff in it. Then they said that's not sufficient. You remember all that? Like, where did all that go?
Yeah.
This is the type of stuff that can't be forgotten, has to be brought back up. Like, it's crazy.
Here's another clip on a show, just the irony of proroguing government, because in 2010, this is what Justin Trudeau, who was not Prime Minister at the time, was railing the current government for proroguing. So,
and the two prorogations in 2 years, the first to avoid a vote of non-confidence that would have surely brought this government down. The second, to avoid difficult questions. Anyone who disagrees with this government gets pushed aside. The challenge becomes that he gets to use every tribune he can use. All the media, all the voices, all the attention, and gets to further marginalize people who disagree with him. That's why we're talking about prorogation today.
But this prorogation will take us only into March, and there will be confidence votes in March in the passing of supply that will allow Parliament to weigh in on confidence in a way that is entirely in keeping with all the principles of democracy and the workings of our strong institutions.
So The thing that bothers me about this is that he's putting the Liberal Party and Justin Trudeau are putting the Liberal Party before Canadians. Yeah. Because it's clearly the sentiment across the country is we are not happy with the current government and how they have been governing Canada. It's clear as day. All the polls are showing that the Conservatives are en route to having record wins. Liberal Party could be almost decimated. Like, this has got a lot of...
it does.
It's got a lot of... it's very closely aligned with if you guys have been... Remember this far back, 1993, when we had... I'm just blanking on her name. The Conservative female Prime Minister. Paul, if you can type that up and tell me the name. I can't believe I just dropped that name. It's on the tip of my tongue right now. Campbell. And 1993, when she came in for prime ministership for 2 months, and there's some issues that the Conservative Party ended up getting into, but it's got some shades of that right now, which is interesting because, as I said earlier, my point is Canadians are being put second behind the Liberal Party and their power, their ability to respond, all that kind of thing. So
I have a video here that's of Justin's riding.
Okay.
I want to see if I can get the video. It looks like the video doesn't. Oh, here you go. Just gonna connect. This speaks volumes.
From clamoring for selfies to flying those now familiar flags, this Prime Minister has often elicited strong feelings among Canadians. In resignation, as in office, opinions full of passions Monday.
Joy, and just can't wait till it's all over, to be honest.
I'm so happy. For the last 9 years, I cannot recall he did anything good for the country.
Get rid of Trudeau, get rid of the Liberals, and we'll be good.
A celebration across the prairies was almost always a given. At the best of times, Liberal support here can be hard to find.
I'm a Western Canadian. I've always hated Justin Trudeau. I've hated the name.
But even in Trudeau's own Montreal riding, voters appear to agree.
It doesn't do nothing for the Canada. It's better if he run away. No good.
Liberals swept every Atlantic riding back in 2015. In 2025...
I'm looking forward to a new head of the Liberal Party so I can actually vote for them instead of swapping to the NDP or something.
I think the Liberal Party's cooked. Yeah, I think they're going to break up, to be honest. NDP.
And in BC and Winnipeg.
How do you think Justin Trudeau will be remembered?
Yeah, unfortunately not very well, I don't think. It's too bad.
Certainly a lot of people are struggling with their finances. A great deal of Canadians are without a job. Immigration out of control.
A decade after Trudeau Mania 2.0.
10 years is long enough.
Canadians appear ready to turn the page. Heather Yurex West, Global News, Calgary.
Crazy.
Yeah, interesting. Apparently they're his own riding. I've seen a number of videos about that.
Yeah. Well, we've known this for a while, right?
Sure.
And then seeing how much it is actually starting to transpire in Quebec, in Ontario, which is generally more liberal strongholds. The thing that bothered me about some of those statements is, I'm not a staunch conservative. I'm for common sense. I'm for being economically responsible. I'm for the smaller federal government. I want a smaller government that handles security, handles issues that are across the country, trade, that kind of stuff, but gives us an environment for free markets to actually rip and roll. But some of those guys, what they said was, you know what, the Liberals decimated NDP. They just jump over. And it's like, first off, the guy said, I hope I can vote for a different Liberal leader or whatever. You know what I want to say to that? Justin Trudeau is not the only problem within the Liberal Party. It is the entire Liberal Party. They're not even liberal.
Yeah.
Everyone, let's remember this. They are not liberals. Yeah. The name liberal does not mean how they're acting. You think of liberal, you think of traditional JFK liberal that was responsible and empowering the people and freedom of speech and all these. No, we have moved to such a far left, crazy, ideologically driven people. And it's not just Justin Trudeau. He was the head of it, but there is so many people around him that supported him, propped up those ideas. And if they didn't agree with him, they were cowards because they weren't willing to speak up because they didn't want to be thrown under the bus. There's a couple people who did. Jody Wilson-Raybould, remember? And Justin Trudeau's feminism kick, and he's only ever trashed some women around him and threw them out under the bus to save his own skin.
Yep.
This Liberal Party needs to relook at themselves and actually get back to, maybe you guys should get back to being like center left, being proper liberals. I can get behind that.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of great policies and of classic liberalism that's come out of, right?
The balance
Let's
is
get
necessary. The balance is necessary. But if it's so far left that you start to get this is what we're getting. We're losing grip of our economy and our country, and we're all paying the price for it because it's deep left, deep.
Exactly.
Deep. And that, I like what you said is we need to be policy driven voters. We need to understand what the party represents, not just jump ship like that young guy said.
Yeah.
I just need to vote for somebody there. It's like he has no clue what he's talking about.
And I want to chat like that young guy. And if you think like that, like where you're just automatically, I'm against the idea of conservatism for whatever reason you might think pushes them aside. I'm not trying to get you on the conservative side. I'm trying to get you to analyze each party and what they stand for.
Yeah, for sure.
Take away the labels of conservatism. Take away the conservatives. Take away the labels of the Liberal Party or the NDP Party and look at the wording of what they want to do and also look at their track record.
Yeah.
Look at Jagmeet, the leader of the NDP. He sees an opening, right? Like it's very possible the NDP could become.
But also such a hypocrite too.
I know. No, that's what I mean. Is like look at the man behind the because we already know what we get with Jagmeet. So why would you want to jump to someone who's arguably just as bad as Justin Trudeau, the guy who also supported This is sorry for going on this rant. Jagmeet claims he works on behalf of Canadians.
Yeah, the working
he
people,
has screwed Canadians for the last 2 years, supporting a Liberal government with Justin Trudeau and allowing him and his Liberal Party and the policies to hurt Canadians more and more. He's a liar when he says he's working on behalf of Canadians. How can we have a guy like that and call him a leader? He is not a leader. That's not him at all. And so this is the crappy thing, and why one of my last points in a little clip I put out yesterday was citizens. The only way that we can be properly represented is if we stand up and we make ourselves known. That's the only way. Yes, we vote, but we have to hold our government accountable because otherwise, I love what I said this lots before. Conrad Black says, we get the government we deserve, which allows for a system in which you have leaders that go unchecked, that get away with stuff that they should not be getting away with. Like it's just really frustrating. And back to why I got on this rant, that young guy and other people think like that. I want to challenge you. Look at each party and what they stand for. Is the policies that they're bringing forth going to make your life better or worse? And I think we've got case in point that economics and how we drive and how our policies are for increasing the economics and having positive economics in Canada is probably the most important thing. Like we want people to thrive. People feel it in their wallets and their pocketbook. We have to have that as number one. Look at what the policies are.
It brings freedom. It brings trade. It brings it allows for immigration. You know what I mean? Like immigration is a good thing in a country that can support it. You know what I mean? We want it. It's good. It's fine as long as we have standards, policy, and an economy that's not being drowned because we can't support it. Our housing is paying the price. Our everything is paying the price for it because we don't have a good foundation to stand on. Whatsoever. I'm trying to load this video here of because this is what I'm afraid of is what Justin Trudeau's doing in this clip here.
Pierre Poilievre.
It took like 9 minutes.
The power of editing.
I know, right? All right. So the thing that I want to say about this is this to people who are classic liberals, watch out for this. Watch out for what he's doing. And you'll see.
Vision for this country is not the right one for Canadians.
So we missed the beginning. Now started.
Pierre Poilievre's vision for this country is not the right one for Canadians. stopping the fight against climate change doesn't make sense. Backing off on the values and strength in diversity that Canada has always worked to pull itself together on is not the right path for the country. Attacking journalists, the CBC institutions, that's not what Canadians need in this moment. We need an ambitious, optimistic view of the future, and Pierre Poilievre is not offering that. And I look forward to the fight as progressives across this country stand up for the kind of vision for a better country that Canadians have always carried, despite the tremendous pressures around the world to think smaller, to veer towards the hard right, and to be less ambitious for what we can be and do as a country when the world really needs Canada.
I think there's a little Freudian slip in there.
Where?
I'm going to make a prediction.
What?
This is a crazy prediction. He goes, and I look forward to the fight as progressives. And he's talking about the optimism coming
Party
forward
change.
in the country. I look forward. So he bought himself 3 months. This is total. I'm just going here. 3 months time he bought. If I truly think Justin Trudeau could be the definition of narcissistic, like the literal definition. But this 3 months buying time, trying to figure out how can I get the party back around me potentially? How can I make another move to step out and anyways,
I see what you're saying.
I'm just wondering what this really means. Like he bought himself time, everybody. Did not call an election. Obviously there's other strategic reasons maybe why. I'm just saying that could be a Freudian slip there.
He's touting on the religion, all the religion points. I'm being cheeky with that, but he's
no, it's a religion.
Yeah, he's pulling on
right.
all those threads to see who he can garner with that.
But this is why it's so important, what you and I were talking about earlier, about looking at the policies and the priorities.
Yeah.
Like I've got no problem with doing our best to fight and be environmentally friendly and support and build our environment, right? But that's the first thing he mentioned.
Yeah.
He didn't once mention economics. He didn't once mention security or
education,
our military. He didn't or education standards or
quality living,
trade, or
cost of living.
All these other things that are the bedrock that
the quality of life.
Which guess what? Allows us to do things like what he wants to do, but he's ideologically driven by these other pieces. And it's like, I love what Thomas Sowell says. Thomas Sowell says there's 3 questions that we should ask every time someone brings something up. Number 1 is compared to what?
Yeah.
So when someone makes a statement, compared to what? The second question, this goes to what Justin Trudeau says about climate change. Do you have any evidence to back that?
Yeah.
Right? So someone says something, okay, is that your opinion or is there evidence or is it still up for debate? Number 3, this is one that I don't think Justin Trudeau and the Liberals ever asked. At what cost?
Yeah.
Those 3 questions can really help you navigate. If someone wants to do something, if someone makes a big, this is the worst we've had in our climate and blah, blah. Okay, compared to what?
Yeah, exactly.
Compared to 10 years ago or compared to last month? Or someone says in a business report, hey, we're up 160%, amazing growth. Okay, compared to what? Well, last month. Well, we're
last
down.
month we were 200%.
Yeah. Well, compared to a year ago, we're actually down 70%.
Yeah.
Like compared to what? And then you ask at what cost?
Yeah.
Right. And then is that your opinion or do you have any actual evidence or fact to back that up?
Yeah, exactly. And we're going to wrap here in a second here is we're going to imagine if he came out and said, we're going to save the environment. At what cost?
Exactly.
All your lives, all your money, all your homes, all your happiness, all your education. Okay, well, no, that I'm not in favor of that. Like, at what cost?
At the sovereignty of our nation.
We're losing it all.
Yeah,
but we're saving it. It's like, no, gosh.
Okay, so does Canada even have an effect on overall climate change for all those climate screamers? Like, if we were to do the perfect job according to what you think we would do we actually move the needle?
Yeah, exactly.
And that also influences that what. Anyways, it's just, this is common sense. And this is why I would urge people, I really hope that Pierre Poilievre ends up being what he says he is, because he talks a great game.
Yeah, he does.
I like his common sense. He goes through all of that. I like how you watched his whole Peterson interview.
Not the whole thing.
I watched maybe half of it now. Yep. That's why I love the podcasting and I love long form, because you get a chance where it's just, you get to see who they are. You get to see what's going on with them, right?
Yeah.
And I want to urge people, you should watch that so you get an idea who he is, because the common sense approach is what we've been missing. So we're going to see how this pans out. I don't know if I'm going to back my prediction I just said.
No, but I think you're speaking into his psyche.
Yeah.
I actually think you're probably very right there. I don't know if we're going to see that actually happen, because that's a pipe dream. But I think you're right on his thinking of where he's like, can I save it? If he finds an inch, he's going to take it. He's going to try. And so I think you're very right on that. Other than that, what a crazy week. Would love your comments, your likes, your subscribes. Let us know what you're doing. Send this to someone. And also, if you think we've kind of missed the mark on our assessing of this, let us know. We want to talk. We go to the comments and we debate. So debate us. Let us know.
Yep. I'm interested to see who puts their names forward for the Liberal leader as well.
Christia, I think, is the most obvious one, I'm thinking.
One of the things he said in his speech, remember when the reporter asked him about Christia Freeland, and he paused?
I know.
And he said this comment. I know we were trying to wrap up there. This might be worth, I think he totally just ruined her
run for it.
Her run for it. Let's see if I can find
like he mentioned that I'm not in the habit of sharing private conversations.
Yeah, but he goes, and then he goes and I don't have it here, shoot. But then he goes, Christia has been by my side for 10 years.
Yeah.
She has worked with me on every He basically said she's responsible with me for what we've done for the last 10 years. Blame her. So she's is essentially, I feel like, if people take notice of that, he's basically saying, yeah, well, she's me, we're the same. So we'll see. Mark Carney, I wonder if his name's going to go out. Dominic LeBlanc, right? He's the new finance minister. There's a bunch of, I'm sure there's a little ton of power-hungry people that would love to be prime minister for a month.
For sure.
That's what's going to happen if they actually get their act together. And then they're going to do a vote of non-confidence, and we'll have an election probably April, I'm going to guess.
April, May, yeah. Totally.
But remember, keep our eyes on the Donald down south and what happens with that, because who's negotiating right now on our behalf?
Zero. Nobody.
Well, is it actually? No, is it Justin Trudeau? Is it Prime Minister Justin Trudeau?
It should be,
because he's still the leader of the Liberals until a new one's elected, right?
No one's doing it, is what I'm saying.
That's just not good.
I know, it's rough.
Oh my gosh, what a depressing way to end the show.
That's how the show ends.
The ship just fell over. Yeah. Okay. Till next time.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. Appreciate y'all. See you next time.